Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayla's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
Pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, from the Hard Truth Studios, here's Jim Coyle.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you on this Monday. Glad to have you with us. I hope you had a good weekend and ready to start your week. We've got a lot coming at you. The voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, will join us, of course, as always, and Greg Rakestraw will be coming along as well. Get you an update on Indiana high school ball over the weekend and a few things. And Shannon Griffith will join us today and talk some football. Kurt Signetti, graded as the highest coach this season, and a piece that came out from college football, the College Football Network. We'll talk about that. And adding some very shiny pieces on the OL. In addition to Indiana basketball, of course, taking the big L at Purdue after a great effort. Where's that effort been? But we'll talk about that, of course. And next up, it does not get easier because they have to head up to the Kohl Center to take on the Badgers of Wisconsin in a building that they've never won in. So hopefully they can regain that effort and ferocity that they had, that they played with at Purdue, because it was the best effort of the season, and to see it go to waste was certainly a shame. Certainly a shame, but they could not finish the game again. And boy, it just, if I was viewing all that from a fan, I would be mad pulling out my hair. Why is it that they can't get things together? Man, boy, you've had Trey Galloway just torching him from the guard position, and he never gets to touch the ball. To get it off to maybe peel it into Ballo, and then Ballo, of course. Now, Ballo had a tremendous game. Mackenzie Abaco, tremendous game. A lot of guys played so well. Luke Goody. But how Ballo acted and reacted at the end, what in the world was going on with that? That's just not acceptable, but it continues to show a lack of discipline on that team. And that's the greatest concern of all. So we've got a lot to get to. Pacers. How about the Pacers? Not only have they won 3 straight, they've won 17 out of their last 23. So they are getting it done. Congratulations to the Pacers. Indiana football, they're getting it done too. Adding a nice piece with the commitment from the Notre Dame lineman. Looking forward to talking about that with Shannon when he joins us. Yeah, and Indiana now heading up to Wisconsin to play in a building that they've never won in. I'm just worried, not worried, but I wonder, can they recapture what they had at Purdue because of how it ended? And the fact that you have a teammate that is so incensed at the other that he had to be held back. He was staring him down. I mean, what the hell is that? I get it. If I'm, as a matter of fact, I would be happy that he was that upset with it didn't go right, that he wanted to win that bad. But I just find it hard to believe that if that's the case, where has that been all year? Where has that fight been all year? So kind of weird. Greg Rakestraw from the ISC Sports Network set to join us here, and we'll bring him on in just a second as soon as I can get it set up for the two-man show. Greg, how are you doing today, brother?
My apologies for a slight bit of tardiness. I am well. How about yourself?
Oh, no, it was perfect. Just gave me a time to set the table for today. So it was perfect timing, brother. Perfect timing. I was in Florida over the weekend. I went down to watch the Montverde Invitational. Trent Sisley, of course, playing in that. But I got to see A.J. Devanza play as well for the first time. And he's a man amongst boys. It was that dude, Greg, he is 6'9", but plays like a guard. I mean, he handles the ball, he drives, he'll bring the ball all the way up the floor and drive. He's almost unstoppable getting to the basket. Does not have the outside shot that he's going to need, but this dude he's a bad man.
That is good to know. I saw the baddest team in Indiana on Saturday night, that being the Fisher's Tigers, as they get to 18-0 and have now won 47 of their last 48 games. And my guess is your audience would like to know this, that Jeff Rabjohns was in attendance to watch not one but two Fisher's players. Might be a sign of just how good that team is and how good they might be for a couple of more years to come.
Yeah, there's no doubt that the Fishers is dominating and rolling. When's the last time a team went undefeated and won the state title?
You got to go all the way back to 2 years ago, Jim. Ben Davis went 33-0. And before that, you got to go all the way back to 5 years before that, Warren Central going 32-0. And so there is a very good chance that we will see, basically, a third, kind of super team / all-time team in Indiana high school basketball in the last 8 years. Now, is Fisher's unbeatable? No. And they've got some difficult games left on their schedule. They go to Westfield on Thursday night. Westfield has only lost twice. Westfield has nowhere near the talent level that Fisher's does, but what Westfield's very well coached, play together, kids know their roles. That will not be an easy game. That's probably Fisher's toughest test in their sectional at Carmel the first week in March. Fisher's has to go to LN on February the 18th. LN is so big, they can present some problems now. And their bigs, at least they're 3 and they're 4, and Thomas, who's 6'6", and Miller, who's 6'7", are athletic enough, I think, to stay with Fisher's shooters. So I think that game's going to be really good. I'll have that game on February the 18th. And then Fisher's finishes their regular season with North Central, who's the Marion County champs, who can be up and down, but their good is really good. Again, they ended up winning the Marion County championship. So, again, it's certainly a couple of games that are not going to be easy for them.
Oh, no, nothing's ever easy. If it is, it's not worth doing. How was the weekend contests?
So Fisher's won handily over Carmel. And again, it's a Carmel team that is a couple of men down right now. Lost their top player in Alex Kudo for the season. Evan Harrell, who is a D1 level kid. I'm not sure if he's probably more Mid-American Conference Horizon League than I think would be Big Ten. He has been out for a month. He's about to come back in the next week or so. He could play as soon as Thursday night against Lawrence North. That was my game Saturday night. The night before, it was Carmel beating Ben Davis without those two players. And again, Carmel is always a team that has been more of a half-court, defensive-oriented team. But at the same time, there's only a certain level they can get to offensively without those two players. And they go without having Kudo, who's going to play at the NAI level. Huntington, who's probably a borderline Division I kid. They're going to get to 45 or 50 at most offensively. They have to be able to hold teams down. And the fact that Fisher's got 80 against them on Saturday night, teams don't do that in a weekend against Carmel. I mean, literally, they have held their last two opponents and wins to 69 combined points. It's an indication of just how good this Fisher's team really is.
And it's amazing me because they have been this good for at least 2 years. Last year they were just crazy good, and they followed this up with another. Is this something they can sustain next year, or what's their talent level as far as seniors and juniors?
So there are two guards that are the sophomores, and Cooper Zachary and Jason Gardner Jr. Obviously, are going to be there for a couple of more years. Their other top of they really play an 8-man rotation. They kind of shrink it to 7. The other 7, those 5 guys are all seniors. And again, those are kids that you got the Kirby kid that's going to play at Miami of Ohio. The other kids are NAI Division III level players that are on that group. One of them, well, at least the last name, it's Kohl Center, whose dad, Jim, played at Jeffersonville, played at Franklin College, a really good player. It's an amazingly balanced and well-coached high school basketball team. There will be a little bit of a dip next year, but again, when you have those 2 kids in the backcourt, like Zachary and Gardner, you'll figure it out. And Jim, here's the other thing that we all have to start kind of acknowledging. It certainly appears we are heading down the road of having one free transfer in Indiana high school sports. And so just who might show up on the Fishers roster next year, we have no idea. So in theory, you need a big man, you go find one from someplace else. We are about to enter that world, I think, effective next year. So we'll again, their roster might look different a year from now, knowing you've got 2 great guards to go play with.
Boy, this has to be driving the IHSAA crazy.
And honestly, Jim, I think they're tired of fighting the fight, to be blunt, in terms of transfers. And there's frankly even some pushback from the legislature because, let's face it, most schooling is an open door policy now in terms of being able to, move from district to district. And I'll be honest, where my daughter will be in, who's not an athlete, by the way, not close to it. My daughter will be in a different district for high school next year than the one she lives in, or the one she's sending school in for the last 9 years. It's such an open door policy now, it becomes increasingly harder for the IHSAA to fight it. And so I think they're going to try this and see what happens. Again, the impacts that it's going to have, Lord knows.
Well, there's no doubt that this is going to potentially create, I don't want to call it a dynasty, but if a coach can get the right group going year after year, I mean, that's kind of what Montverde does. They reload. And it may not be quite as easy as at high school, but it won't be as hard either, because if you're having success, it's not hard to attract bees to honey.
Correct. And so again, just how will this look, and the AAUification of high school sports? The IHSAA will try to police this as best they can, but it's going to look a whole lot different a year from now.
Yeah. And I wonder what sport this will affect most. I would say basketball, just because of the smaller numbers and easier way to grow a team. Football is a little more difficult, although it only takes a couple of impact players to change something. So, but basketball will definitely be a different, I don't want to call it a different sport, but it's going to have a different look without question going forward.
Correct. On the boys' side, absolutely. On the girls' side, I think the concern is, there are a handful fewer teams that have a girls' team, so not enough girls want to participate. The issue you see in girls' high school basketball is not having enough kids combine JV and varsity to have full JV games. Some teams are not only having varsity teams. A lot of teams will play 2-quarter JV games. I think what you will see on the girls' side is that if you're the only really high-end player, like on a 1A or 2A team, and you elect to move to someplace else to play, there's going to be a little over 400 boys basketball teams in the state tournament. That number around girls is like 390. Does that girls number shrink in the state tournament next year? I think there are some unintended consequences here, Jim, that could end up happening.
Well, and that usually happens. And I think a lot of times it happens whether it's the ISSAA or the NCAA, you fight something too long instead of trying to, all right, how can we manage this so it doesn't, get out of control or whatever. But instead of that, they wait until the fight is over and it all hits at once. And just like the NCAA with NIL, they probably had the opportunity years ago to really ease that in to where it would be a gradual type of thing instead of going from, zero to rock star money.
Correct. And I think on both the IHSAA and NCAA fronts, they're also tired of legal fees and the legal fight, because, and I think this is more applicable to the NCAA, but I think the NCAA tried to put some guardrails in on transfers and things like that. Remember last year, it was all right, you get a free transfer for one. The second transfer, it is, you have to sit for a year. Well, enough people took that to court and finally found a judgment rule in their favor that opened the door for everybody. And earlier this year, Jim, I had a kid that had played in 5 years for 5 different teams. 3 of those at the Division I level, 1 of those at the NAIA level, 1 of those at the junior college level. So some of that, were quote unquote legal transfers, in the old system. But that's just kind of where we are, frankly, as a society. I don't like I don't like this. I'm taking you to court. To some degree, you have that right. To another degree, you're going to completely drain your coffers, your reservoir, your operating funds, fighting legal fights. You're like, you know what? Forget this. Let's switch courses of action here and let's figure out something else. Absolutely. What's up next for you, brother? So this week, a little bit of a slower week for me. I've got IU Indianapolis Wednesday night. They had their best win of the season, beating Youngstown State on the road on Saturday. They play host to Milwaukee on Wednesday night at 6:30 on ESPN+. Thursday night, boys basketball. Again, this is the week of the girls sectional, so the boys' nights start to vary a little bit. You get a lot of Thursday night and Saturday afternoon games. I've got Ben Davis and Pike, and again, for Ben Davis, Mark Zachary, I think, is getting closer to coming back. Could it be this Thursday against Pike? We'll see. Pike is a team that has been beset by injuries. They've now won 4 in a row. Got a good winning at Zionsville on Saturday. And then Saturday night, a girls basketball sectional final for me. Likely Hamilton Southeastern and Noblesville, as we will head to Noblesville for that championship game. HSC #1 and unbeaten. Noblesville just got beat last week. Check in at number 10 this week in the coaches poll. Make sure you're giving Greg a follow, keeping up with the ISC Sports Network wherever you guys are all around the country. You can keep up with Indiana high school sports, basketball, and whatever else is going on with ISC. Appreciate you, my friend, as always. I hope you have a great week. Thanks, buddy. You the same. Absolutely. Greg Rakestraw from the ISC Sports Network joining us. Up next, the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer. Right after this break from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios.
At Ben Davis Chevrolet and Ben Davis Ford in Auburn, we're your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs. We have the area's best selection of over 300 vehicles, including new cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles in stock. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll find it for you. We also have top-of-the-line service and parts, plus a collision repair center, and we're competitively priced on everything. For sales, service, collision, parts, and more, we do it all. Come see us today or visit us online at bendavischevrolet.com and bendavisford.com.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-701-0838. 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore help you find the home you want today. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Monday. Not a bad day, it looks like, to be out there, especially when we get joined by the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer. Don, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, Jim. How about yourself?
Good, good. Your hat, Don, for those of you that can't see, Don's wearing a red IU hat, and I was watching something over the weekend, and Jesse Eisenberg, who is an actor, he played in Social Network, but he lives in Bloomington now and has for a while, but he's still a well-known actor, director, still doing stuff, lives here, but he's got a show that he produces, and I saw a clip of it the other day, and he's wearing that very hat. So you getting some international publicity. It's crazy. His wife's family lives here, but it's crazy to think that an A1 and a Hollywood big time guy lives here, just hangs out, and it's just nuts to think that everybody does not live in Tinseltown with Don.
Well, and how about Mr. Pizzo? I mean, he lives there.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we already knew that Angelo was he's the hometown guy. He's a big timer. But
this is Hollywood of the Midwest. You kidding me?
That's the first time I've ever heard that one. That's a good one. Man, what a disappointing ending to a great effort for the Indiana Hoosiers in Mackey Arena against Purdue, against a very good Purdue team, a Purdue team that could possibly win the Big Ten title this year. And Indiana gave them all they wanted and could have and maybe should have won that game, but the effort, I want to give all the flowers to them. The guys that had great games, Mackenzie Mbako, after going through his spell of not playing well, has been playing really well since. Luke Goody has continued to be the kind of guiding force for this team. Trey Galloway, even though him and Anthony Leal had 10 assists combined, they did so many other things. I know that sounds like a lot of turnovers, and it is, but in that environment, it's kind of easy to happen. And they just couldn't get the end of this thing and close it out. And it's a real shame because that would have been a potentially season-saving win.
Well, it would have certainly helped. There's no question about it, but it didn't happen, and so you move on. Without question, disappointing because Indiana probably played its best game of the year and got beat. I would argue that the other game that I thought was really impressive for them this year was the game in Philadelphia in the Palestra. But in this matchup against Purdue, they went toe-to-toe with the Boilermakers for the entire ball game. Nobody ever led by more than 7 points. Both teams had 7-point leads at one juncture. Indiana had its chances and didn't finish once again, which has been an ongoing struggle here for this basketball team. The last 5 minutes of ball games here of late have been very costly to this IU ball club. And unfortunately, when you lose games like that, and my concern is the mentality of your basketball team at this point, because you've lost 3 really tough losses here. Obviously, the game against Northwestern up there, which is a very winnable contest that was taken out of their hands in the last 5 minutes. And then the Maryland ball game, it went right down to the wire in the last minute of the contest, and likewise the Purdue game. So the mistakes that are made of execution in the final seconds of ball games are so critical sometimes And in this particular matchup against Purdue, it's what got Indiana beat. So that's the most disappointing aspect of it. I guess the positive is this basketball team has a chance to win some ball games here. The Wisconsin team they're going to face this weekend, or this Tuesday, I should say, tomorrow night. It's a place where Indiana hasn't won since 1998. That's 27 years since they've beaten Wisconsin in Madison, which is just, it's mind-boggling when you think about it, for an Indiana basketball program that has been so good through the years. And here's the thing, the matchups against Wisconsin over the years, when Bob Knight was the coach, they destroyed Wisconsin at that time. They had
31 straight or something.
31 straight wins against Wisconsin back in those days at one juncture. And then it all changed when Bo Ryan became the head coach at Wisconsin. The first year that they played in the Kohl Center, which was the first year of that building, that it came into existence in '98, Indiana beat them up there under Bob Knight. They haven't won there since. So
they have won in the Kohl Center?
They have one win in the Kohl Center. Yes, 1998.
I did not realize that. I apologize. Then I was wrong. I thought they had not won in that building yet.
Nope. They the first year of its existence, they beat Wisconsin in that building. That was 98. They haven't won up there since. So that's 27 years without a win in Madison, which is just mind-boggling if you think about it.
Oh, it is crazy. The fact that it's just, and Wisconsin's been a solid good team over that time. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't matter because I look at just this last couple of days. We've been wondering who's going to beat Michigan State. Well, I can tell you, USC was not on my bingo card of options to get that job done. But USC is also a team that has shot up the Big Ten standings, currently 6th, 8th. They're in 8th.
Yeah,
that's a team that was a bottom feeder. And this is what's happened in the Big Ten Conference this year. Well, there have been crazy losses by the top teams against teams you would not expect it to be.
No, there's no question. Look, and Minnesota was a team that won 3 in a row when they were struggling big time, and they were dead last in the league, couldn't find a way to win a conference ball game, and they won 3 straight. Then they get beat this past weekend. So it's interesting to say the least. It is a tough league. It's a tough league to win in, no matter who you play, no matter where you play them. And in this Wisconsin matchup that comes up next, Jim, this Wisconsin team is different than what we've seen over the past several years under Greg Gard and under Bo Ryan. This is a team that does not grind it out like they used to. They're playing much faster. They're shooting more threes than just about anybody in the Big Ten. The one thing that bothers me most about it is that they have got a kid named John Tonji who is lighting up the Big Ten at this point. He's averaging 18 points a game, but he had 27 in their last matchup against Northwestern. He has really been a major factor for them. He's a transfer from the University of Missouri in his final year of eligibility. So he is playing well for them. They've got 2 bigs that they put on the floor most of the time, and the Winter Kid and in Crowell, 7-footers. They have, and Indiana has not been playing 2 bigs most of the time because Malik has not returned to form at this juncture in the last 3 ball games that he's played in. He has struggled a lot. And Ballo has continued to be a solid source for this Indiana ball club. Purdue tried to take him away, still was able to score 14 points. He got 8 rebounds or something like that. So he is still playing the best, I think, consistently of anybody in this team. But you got to give Galloway credit. Mbako has returned to form, so to speak, after 4 straight games in which he was awful. And he has played really well in the last 3. He's averaging 20 points, 40% from the 3-point line, 58% from the field. He's got 5 rebounds in each of the last 3 ball games, and he's getting more aggressive going to the rim, which is always a critical thing, I think, because he's a shooter and everybody comes out on shooters. So you've got to take the basketball to the hole sometimes. And he's been able to do that here pretty consistently in the last 3 games. So you've got guys starting to play some of their best. I mean, Galloway was terrific in that game against Purdue. He had 7 assists or 5 assists, whatever it was in that contest again. Scored 15 points on 7 of 10 shooting. And Luke Goody's been very consistent. So right now, Indiana's playing some of its best basketball and not getting the results that they would like to get. And that's concerning to me because I think it factors into their mentality.
Well, and Luke Goody things have changed since Renew got hurt, and Mike Woodson has been forced to play Luke Goody more. And he's just been a consistent spark for this team. I think there was a game where he didn't have a great one, but for the most part, he has been the guy that has done things. But that was because Mbako was also struggling.
Right.
But Mbako has been pretty much back. 25 points. That's a hell of an effort, a hell of a day. 10 of 17 overall, 2 of 2. He only got to the free throw line twice, though, but 2 of 2, 5 rebounds, 5 rebounds. What a day for Mackenzie Mbako. I mean, that's about all you can ask of a guy.
That's true. And Anthony Leal continues to step up too and make plays in ball games. He doesn't wow you with his stat sheet, but there's no question he made several big plays in this contest. He played, I think, the most minutes he's ever played in a ball game, 34, almost 35 minutes in this contest. Wow. So there are guys that are really performing. Obviously, Miles did not have the game that he was hoping to have. He was probably, maybe along with Renew, the 2 guys that didn't perform up to expectations. But at the same time, other people did step up. And that's the key with this ball club. Now, the biggest key, however, is finishing and getting over that hump right now, executing at the end of ball games when it's a tight, contested matchup. You've got to be able to execute at the end. Indiana simply did not do that, and the 20 turnovers in this game absolutely destroyed their chances.
Without question about that. And Matt Painter said he was glad that Trey Galloway did not have the ball in his hands in those waning seconds, that final drive. And I'm sure Indiana fans would probably rather have seen that because he had it going on with the pick and roll and kind of what there was a situation at the end where Ballo was just completely beside himself that he did not get the play that he wanted either, with Miles Rice driving and again involved in a last second kind of what's going on type of thing. But I have to say the behavior and the reaction and actions by Ballo were just uncalled for and unnecessary. And he's got to get, that's some immaturity that he has to get over.
Well, I look at it this way. I think, but
I like the competitor. I like the fact that he was so mad about not getting it the win.
Exactly. A little more mature there. Got to be a little more mature. And his frustration is boiling over. I don't think that Ballo's ever been involved in with a team that has struggled like this team has. I think he's experiencing that kind of struggle for the first time. Think about when he was at Arizona and he was at Gonzaga before that. They didn't have these same kinds of struggles that Indiana has been going through on the ball clubs that he's played on. And that's not an excuse, but you can understand where there is frustration there from his perspective, because he has been carrying this basketball team for a long time this year. And I get that, but yeah, you've got to be a little more mature and you've got to be able to handle those kinds of situations better than what he has.
Well, and they have another opportunity, although, man, wins over in Maryland and Purdue would have changed the course of this team's postseason prospects without question. Now, the question is gone. Can they regather themselves after that tough emotional loss at Purdue and now go to Wisconsin, the place where they haven't won since Moby Dick was a minnow, as Bob Knight was fond of saying? Because they obviously can. They obviously have the talent to beat these teams. So can they finish it? Will it be easier for them on the road? To play like they did on the road at Mackey was nuts. So hopefully they can get that done.
I can't get over Moby Dick when Moby Dick was a minnow. I'd never heard Bob Knight say that, Jim. I don't
Really?
know.
Oh, I did. I heard him say it once on some somewhere. Well, no, at least I heard him say it on an interview somewhere.
I never heard him ever say that, but I'm not doubting that your word, but it just cracks me up. At any rate, I think this Wisconsin team is going to be very difficult to handle. They are going to run, though. They're doing more of that than they ever have. And Indiana wants to run in these basketball games. That's their preference as well. So I think this is going to be an interesting matchup, though. But I think the key here is how Indiana handles it. If they come out and compete like they did against Purdue, they will give themselves a chance. If they don't compete like that, they're going to be in real trouble against this ball club.
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround, too, an emotional turnaround. You've got to get that emotion, not just this loss, but the last two losses were just grinding emotionally, but especially one against your rival. I mean, Indiana, I sent out a tweet. Indiana is playing Purdue like they're playing Purdue. And it was just shocking to see because my one question would be, where's that effort been all year long? Because if they had played like that all season, we're not having some of the conversations that we're having.
That's true. I mean, we've talked about this ad nauseum this year about the inconsistency of effort and energy going into ball games or going into a second half, those kinds of things. That's the one thing that has been missing. It wasn't missing against Purdue. And I love that to death because I think that's a critical factor, but it can't be that way and be different the next time you go out on the floor. And, that's the one thing these coaches they're being paid a lot of money to get these guys ready to play. And without question, this is going to be a game they're going to have to be ready to play or they're going to have real problems in this matchup. Because I think Wisconsin has been, as they always seem to be, one of the more surprising teams in this league.
Yep, they have been doing it for a long time now. Don, Coach's Show, what's up with that?
Tonight, Inside IU Basketball with Terry Moore and Austin Render will host.
Absolutely. Coming off of a win, I believe, right?
Yep. Nice
Good
win over
deal.
Nebraska.
Don, make sure you're catching the fish on tomorrow's broadcast. A quick turnaround as they will head up to Madison, Wisconsin in the Kohl Center. Make sure you've got it tuned in to listen to Don, and you don't need the TV or just turn it down like everybody else does. Appreciate you as always, my friend.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you. The great Don Fischer joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Lots more coming up from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. We're back with it on the backside of these messages. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road rye, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Maria in Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Maria in Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
At Ben Davis Chevrolet and Ben Davis Ford in Auburn, we're your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs. We have the area's best selection of over 300 vehicles, including new cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles in stock. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll find it for you. We also have top-of-the-line service and parts, plus a collision repair center, and we're competitively priced on everything. For sales, service, collision, parts, and more, we do it all. Come see us today or visit us online at BenDavisChevrolet.com and BenDavisFord.com.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Monday. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate you always, no matter where and how you're listening on one of our great affiliates like 97.7 ESPN The Ref, always the right call in Evansville. 1340 AM, 104.7 F, or 1230 AM. I can't get numbers straight today. 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, WJOB, the voice of the region, and 1380 The Fan in Fort Wayne. Keep it locked right here. No reason to go anywhere else. Great content all day long to take you throughout your day, wherever you're traveling. Indiana looking over the stats from that Purdue game. And for both teams, actually, I was trying to add those numbers up during the break, but didn't get it done. But Purdue had three starters. Let's see. No, two starters that combined for 5 points. That was First and Cox. Let's see. They had a combined 6 rebounds, 5 points, 6 rebounds, 0 assists, nothing else to really add. And Indiana had 3 starters that combined for 9 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 9 turnovers. And that's not a good thing that I'm talking about either. Miles Rice, 0 points in that game, and he took 4 shots. Why are you taking the last shot of the game? Why? I just there are so many whys to this team this year. And Matt Painter made it. I think Matt Painter, God love him. And I have nothing but great respect for Matt and appreciate him as a coach and a person, and no buts here, but his post-game comments, he was blunt. He said, boy, we're just glad that Trey Galloway didn't have the ball in his hands because, yeah, he had 6 turnovers on the day, but he also had 5 assists on the day. And more importantly, he was 7 of 10 from the field. He was making it happen. And those assists, a good deal of those were being handed out to guys like Ballo, who in that final situation probably would have been the deal. Most of the time at Trey Galloway driving he's going to jump up and try to find somebody to throw the ball to. Well, that might have worked in that last situation. And if nothing else, drawn the foul. But at the end of the day, Indiana did not have a plan. They did not have a plan. First of all, if you don't have a timeout, which they didn't, you have to know that ahead of time. This is one of the biggest failures of this coaching staff. They do not see in front of their face. You're not thinking ahead. That's what great coaches do. They're 2 steps ahead of you. Nick Saban, that's why he wasn't jumping around all the time. He was thinking about 2 plays ahead. What's next? And you have to say, hey, you have to know that if you have a chance, it's going to come down to that play or a play. So you have to, hey, when we do this, this is what we need to do. That didn't happen. Miles Rice, obviously not having a great game. He was 0 for 4 in that game. had only taken 4 shots and missed them all. Or he took 3 shots prior to the last one. But why is the ball in your hands to win the game? There are so many other hot players. Whether it was Ballo inside, probably would have drawn the foul. Mbako, who was on fire, 10 of 17 that day. Luke Goody. I mean, even Galloway driving. All options that would have been better. But Miles Rice thought that an unplanned whatever he was going to do was the best way to handle that again. This goes to the coaches. It tells me that there's no control. They don't have plans, so they're not used to having plans. So they're not accustomed to winning, to doing things in the tight moments. They don't have the guidance. They have not had the guidance. Therefore, they don't have the basketball IQ to do the right things at the right times. Because these 2 games, not saying, they may have missed the shot no matter what. They may have missed the shot in the Maryland game no matter what. But you know what? The shots they got off, it's like having a 10-foot putt and hitting it 8 feet. The one thing is, it never had a chance. But if you hit a 10-foot putt 11 feet, at least you had a shot of it going in. You may miss it, but you had a chance. If you leave it short, no chance. And Indiana left it short. No chance, twice in a row. And winning those 2 games right there, I'm telling you, that would have changed their postseason play aspirations. They would have gone from a team that was out of the tournament probably to a team that was back on the bubble at the very minimum. Those would have been huge wins. That would have raised their net ranking. That's one of the differences that a team like Penn State has over Indiana. They've got a win over Purdue. Man, if you beat Maryland and Purdue back-to-back, huge. Huge. And then what momentum does that give you? What confidence does that give you? You're going to Wisconsin now. I mean, we know this team can actually play with anybody. That's the sad part of this. They can play with any team in the Big Ten. USC just beat Michigan State. Are you kidding me? How many times have we seen that this year? Speaking of the Big Ten, some games over the last several days. Ohio State went to Penn State and handled them by 19 actually. Nebraska is on the rise. They hosted Illinois a few days back on the 30th and get that overtime win. We talked about that. Then UCLA destroyed Oregon. I talked about that. Oregon's on the slide. Man, Purdue and Indiana, that's a tough one. Then you had the battle of the bottom, Washington over Minnesota. So Minnesota now has they're not in the bottom. That leaves Washington all alone in the Big Ten standings at 2-8. But the funny thing is, there's not a single team in the Big Ten that has an overall losing record, and that includes Minnesota right now. They're 11-10. Wisconsin went to Northwestern and squeezed out a 75-69 win. Michigan went to Rutgers and gutted out a 66-63 win. That's a big-time win for the Wolverines. And then Sparty goes out to L.A. A little too much sunshine at beach, I guess, because the Trojans come out of there with a 70-64 win. Big-time upset. Huge win for USC. But Michigan State's first loss in the conference season. First loss in a while. I think they had won like 11, 12 games in a row. Snapped a long streak. They're still alone in the conference standings at 9-1. Just a game or a half game ahead of Purdue, who is 9-2. Michigan 8-2. Hey, this conference, it's going to be crazy. Wisconsin is in 5th. Here, I just talked about Indiana could have easily had that win over Purdue if the shot goes down, draw the foul either way. They're in second place. You've got Maryland, who's in fourth, tied with Wisconsin. So there's all of their games right there. Michigan, and then Michigan State is on the back end of this schedule. So you have Purdue. First you had Maryland, then you had Purdue, then you have Wisconsin, then you have Michigan, then Michigan State. That is those 5 games in a row are the top 5 of the Big Ten right now. And getting a couple of wins there would have just been crazy for Indiana. Crazy good. Illinois hosted the Buckeyes at home. I think that was yesterday. 87-79, Illinois holds on. And then now Nebraska, who is on a heater. They go to Oregon and beat the Ducks 77-71. Oregon on the slide, man. Oregon is now tied with Indiana at 5-6 in the Big Ten. USC, they're ahead of both of those teams. The Illini have slid down 1, 2, 4, 6. The Illini's in 7th. UCLA holding pat at 7-4 up there. It's going to be fun watching this at the end. Todd said that he thought that Michigan State would end up losing, 4 or 5 games. And I don't see that. I did at the beginning of the season. Don't get me wrong. But I don't see it now. But I also didn't see them going to USC. But sometimes I think these teams, that long travel, you play USC, a team there's nothing to get fired up for. Maybe that had a lot to do with it. We'll see. Indiana now 2, 4, 6, 8, 10th in the Big Ten. So they're straggling the Mendoza line, and it's not Alberto or Fernandez at 5-6, 14-8 overall, 11-2 at home now. Indiana with the road game tomorrow. Quick turnaround at Wisconsin. I'm not sure what the timeout gate is. Andy says didn't need the timeout in Maryland game. Rice was on that second half and had the ball in the open floor, needed the timeout, and then Purdue. Gallo needed the ball and didn't have it. That's a coaching issue. Well, it is, but at the same time, that has to be explained to the team because Miles Rice is the guy who normally brings the ball up the floor for that team. But the team has to know what the hell you're doing when you have a chance to win the game and there are waning seconds. Putting the ball in the guy that is 0 for 4 and hasn't done squat in the game is not the guy that should have the ball. But part of that is Miles Rice. It's his fault. Why did he not give it up to the guy that had been hot? This team does not have a good basketball IQ, in my opinion. They just are. They're not synced. They're not gelled well together. There's just no synchronicity. And when those little things rear their head, they're costly. They're costly. Well, you can blame it on whomever. And he says, fire him now. Well, you know what? I don't see that happening. I've said it all year long. It will not happen until the season has come to a completion, but we'll see. We'll see. Absolutely. I'm no, there will not be an NIT appearance by Indiana, in my opinion, as well. We've got lots more coming up. That's going to wrap it up for this hour. We'll be back with more, including Coach Shannon Griffith join us. We'll talk some IU football. They've had some good news, and we'll talk about it. From the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios, back with more right after these messages. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-701-0838. 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore help you find the home you want today. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33 Pizza. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios on this Monday. So glad to have you with us as always. Appreciate you joining us on the program today. I hope you had a great weekend. I was down in Montverde, as a matter of fact, watching Trent Sisley. It was senior day. Got to see him go through that with his family, and we'll have some stuff coming out on the Hoosier.com as well as interviews and whatnot with that. Saw Keith Smart, talk to Keith as he is the coach of Utah Prep, who was there. We're supposed to get him on the show here in the near future. And saw AJ DeBansa, the #1 recruit in the country who plays for Utah Prep. And let me tell you, he's something that I haven't seen. If this dude had a jump shot, I mean, a smooth 3-point shot right now, he would be the #1 pick in the NBA right now, I think. He's 6'9" and moves like a guy that is 6'4". He has unbelievable ball handling skills. He has quickness. He plays with intensity. He jumps. He grabs rebounds. He goes after it. He will take you off, beat you off the dribble, clear it out. He will clear the lane out and beat you off the dribble and get his own rebound. He's fun to watch. Has a little bit too much boat in him for me. But I think, I don't know what a college coach would do with that, but we'll see. But I will say, but Utah Prep, I think they ended up winning 3rd place in the Montverde Invitational. Montverde, not the team that they were a year ago when they were loaded with Cooper Flagg and Asa Newell and just Liam McNeely, Derek Queen. Holy gosh, think about that. And I forget who else. I think his kid is starting at Baylor right now. And they had another guy off the bench that were all Division I guys. And they've got CJ Ingram now, who's going to Florida. Trent Sisley's going to Indiana. But it's not at all like it was last year. And they beat a Calvary Christian Academy team to win the Montverde Invitational. And it was a battle. I mean, Calvary was great. Their guards were great. Montverde was down 6 in the fourth quarter. They had to spend the entire second and third quarters fighting back, but they did so. And they got the win and won the Montverde Invitational Tournament Championship again. It was senior weekend, and congratulations to Trent and his family, Matt and Heather, his mom and dad, for getting to go through all that. Big thanks to Doc Sam Joaquim down there for always being so helpful and courteous and helping me get around and navigate all that down there. The weather was nice. Wish I'd have gotten to see it a little bit, but that was a quick in and out trip and spent most of the time in the gym. But it was nice. Saw Jason Carroll down there, another IU fan that listens to the show, is an official. First met him when I went down there 3 years ago when he was officiating a game, and he had more games to officiate there. So that was cool. And it was just fun to see Trent having fun. And he was doing just that, having fun. So congratulations to Trent Sisley and his family as they went through all that. And we'll have all of that. You'll have the interviews on the YouTube channel once we get some stories out on that on thehoosier.com, which you should see soon. Shannon Griffith is going to join me in the next segment. We're going to talk some football as reloading for next year in Indiana. It has to be so refreshing to see a coach, for fans to see a coach that had a really damn good team last year. But we saw what the needs were. Well, going out and getting that, as Indiana has done a pretty good job of filling in on some pieces that they need. They get a great commitment from 2026 lineman Sam Simpson. That's in the high school recruiting class. Samuel Simpson, he's the class of 2026. He's an offensive lineman from River Falls, Wisconsin. He's a 3-star prospect, according to Rivals, 5.7 grade. I think that's out of 6. He will play his final season of high school football this fall, River Falls, before joining the Hoosiers for the 2026 season. He turned down offers from Iowa State, Iowa, Illinois, Kansas, and Wisconsin. Beat out Wisconsin for a Wisconsin kid. So big shout out to Bob Bostat, the offensive line coach for Indiana, and Kurt Signetti. But these are the kind of guys you got to get. And big 6'4", 295-pounder now. Wait till he gets in college. They'll probably get him up to a nice beefy 325 or something. It may take a season or two, but it's coming, Indiana football fans. It's coming. Indiana offensive line coach Bob Bostad visited Simpson in Wisconsin, according to Simpson's social media, posting that he received the offer yesterday or the day before. It didn't take Simpson long to make his decision. That was fast. And he's now committed to join Bostad's group. So that's pretty cool to be able to offer a kid from Wisconsin who has an offer from Wisconsin and to get him. But Wisconsin is not the Wisconsin of old right now. Luke Fickell, I think the fans are a little fickle on Luke right now. We'll see. But that's not the only good news for Indiana, as I believe. Let's see if I can. Where's the information on the Notre Dame kid that I believe is, well, there it is. Here we go. Notre Dame transfer offensive lineman Pat Coogan commits to Indiana as well. So they are really beefing up. This is not going to be a freshman. This kid coming in from the national champion or runner-up, Notre Dame Irish, committed to Indiana following his Friday visit with head coach Curt Cignetti and the Hoosiers. Coogan is one of the top offensive linemen available in the portal, becomes the 19th member of Indiana's incoming transfer class. He picked Indiana over the Michigan Wolverines. So again, big kudos to Bob Bostat and Curt Cignetti. This is a huge get, man. You were replacing you were solid at center last year, but now I think you've probably gotten better. Coogan is 6'5", 310 pounds. He started 13 games for Notre Dame last season during their runner-up campaign. Indiana is getting the guy that snapped the ball in the national championship game, people. That is a get. He only allowed 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits, and 5 hurries. Pro Football Focus gave Coogan a 72.1 grade for his efforts this past season, grading out as the number 41 center in the country out of 301. Pretty good. Palos Heights, Illinois native earned a pass block grade of 79 and a run block grade of 69. So Indiana doing what they need to do to become better next season. I told you this team was going to be better next year. I truly believe that. I mean, they are going to be a better team, and they're going to have to be to get that needed win that they're going to have on the road, and they're going to have at least one of 3, if not 2. But we'll talk about all that and more with Coach Shannon Griffith when he joins us. I want to make in Ohio State, Chip Kelly gone. So the Buckeyes, national champion, have now lost both of their coordinators. That's something we'll talk about with Coach as well. So let's get to it. We'll take a quick break from the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios. Back with more right after this. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Marie in Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Marie Island, Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's Sour Mash Bourbons, Sweet Mash, and Hard Road Rye, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular Toasted Coconut Rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Monday. Glad to have you along and glad to have Coach Shannon Griffith filling in for Dustin Dopirak, who is traveling to Utah today for the Pacers. See if they can pick up their 4th straight win. They've won 17 out of 23, man.
It's crazy.
Pacers are rolling, brother. Pacers are rolling. I'm wondering where does that fit in the realm of the NBA standings as far as if they have moved up or down in the conference. Let me get there we go. Get that pulled up for a second. I'm just curious to see if they have. Man, the Pacers are now 4th in the Eastern Conference. A full game in front of the Milwaukee Bucks. They trail only Cleveland, Boston, and the Knicks. Wow.
Yeah.
That's saying something, man. 27 and 27 games over 500. But the West is a little tougher, it looks like. You go 6 teams deep till you get to that number. But hey, kudos for the Pacers. It's they're getting closer and closer to be. I mean, they beat the Celtics, they beat the Cavs, so they can play with them. There's no doubt.
They made a similar run a year ago too in the latter half of the season as their defensive side of the court picked up considerably. That's the big knock against the Pacers has been their defensive nature at times, not wanting to play.
I know there's some basketball action over the weekend. John Calipari returned to Lexington at Rupp Arena. I thought that he would be welcomed with some applause. He got booed early.
Yeah.
But guess what? He got the W and got the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Came in and beat. That's a surprise, man. Kentucky is a good team. Had been playing well. Arkansas, but that's a huge win.
Didn't like his welcome
for them. Liam McNeely expected back Friday for UConn as they'll take on Rick Pitino and St. John's. So that's looking forward to it. Then this is the other Hurley, Arizona State's Bobby Hurley. He called let's see, Tommy Lloyd and Bobby Hurley met near court before the game and exchanged pleasantries. An afternoon of chirping and a late headbutt ruined the mood by the time the rivalry game was over. Frustrated with Arizona's constant chatter, Hurley waved Arizona State's players off the floor after the Wildcats' 81-72 road win Saturday to prevent any further escalation. Right near our bench, it was relentless, constant chatter from a couple of Arizona's players that wasn't being policed properly, Hurley said. Of course, they're going to be happy with winning, but it was done with no class, in my opinion. So, no class, baby. No class. It's all right.
Yeah.
Well, class is in for Big Ten football recruiting, and Indiana doing kind of good. They're doing pretty well. First of all, Kurt Signetti, the College Football Network, has sent out grades for all first-year head coaches. It doesn't matter if they're, been a coach for 1,000 years. This is in their first year. And I don't know how many are on this list that I have, but and I'm not going to count them all because there's too many, but it's names like Jeff Levy from Mississippi State. I'm skipping some of these. Derek Mason, Middle Tennessee. He'll be on there. He's on there. Jonathan Smith at Michigan State. I'm trying to hit the bigger ones. Willie Fritz at Houston. Kalen DeBoer at Alabama. Reeves received a grade of C.
Yeah. 9-4.
Another lose-lose situation for Kalen DeBoer and the Alabama Crimson Tide. You never want to be the guy after the guy. Boy, truer words have never been said. And Nick Saban was the guy. Yeah, you didn't want to be the guy replacing Bob Knight.
No.
Unless he delivered a national championship at his first time of asking the former Washington Huskies head coach, one of the winningest head coaches in college football history, incidentally, would likely face higher scrutiny than anyone. Yeah. So it came to pass. DeBoer's 2024 team allowed fewer points per game than the final year of Saban's tenure and finished just 0.2 points per game behind the previous season's offense. However, they suffered a 3-game win regression. Kind of weird.
It's crazy. And especially when the
Fish.
defense, and he was always on the defense, even on ESPN. You know, one of the biggest games was against Vanderbilt, where they were giving up like 3rd and 15, 3rd and 18, couldn't get off the field. And all be told, they had a pretty good year defensively.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for reminding me, Russell. Hate to jump around, but Jalen Hood-Schifino now becomes the answer of a trivia question. Who was involved in the biggest trade in NBA history? Because let's see, all right, who was it? Anthony Davis and Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic going to the Lakers. I wonder what that's going to be like. Luka and LeBron. Luka and LeBron. So we'll see what that's like. But somehow Jalen Hood-Schifino was involved in this trade, traded to Utah, and there was a lot of people making fun of it. Yeah, saying, "Whoa, Utah really killed him with this trade, huh?" It was funny, but we'll see where he ends up. But he may end up with Utah. Maybe it's the situation for him. Deshaun Foster from UCLA. We remember Deshaun. Boy, we talked about how they were sucking, how bad they were. Then he kind of, end of the season, things started turning around. They ended up 5-7, barely missing a bowl game. He gets a grade of B-. He was graded higher than Kalen DeBoer, so he has got to be happy.
Yeah, I didn't understand that one, other than the fact that they
because they turned it around.
Yeah, they turned it around. I mean, he did. And then he fired both, I don't know if he fired him, but let his OC guy go.
But he got Tino Sunseri.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting setup out there.
Who was wild because last year Tino was here. His brother was at Washington. Now his brother's somewhere in Florida, I think.
Yeah, I don't know where his brother is at now. He's
there. Yeah, he's in Florida somewhere. I can't remember where. Let's see. Next, Sharon Moore at Michigan. Overall record, they end up 8-5. He gets a grade of B. Sharon Moore comfortably had the most difficult job related to the expectations of any first-year college football coach. Well, you talk about replacing the guy. He had to do that, replacing Harbaugh. He inherited a team that had an undefeated national title winning campaign under Harbaugh, but it was not the same team.
No.
So
they
lost Blake Corum and all that. But they kind of the end of their season, boy, you talk about turning it around. You beat the team that's going to be the national champion in 4 games. Not bad. Not bad at all. Mike Elko at Texas A&M gets a grade of B+. Jeff Choate at Nevada, B+. James Madison's coach, Bob Chesney, a B+. They finished 9-4. That's pretty good considering the fact that Kurt Cignetti left and several of their best players left with them to come to Indiana. So that's
4-4 in the big
Sun Belt. Yeah.
Which is a tough league.
Oh, absolutely. People don't understand. Conference play is conference play, no matter what. Bill O'Brien, Boston College, jumps up there with a grade of A-. Says, I'm not sure if Bill O'Brien gets enough credit for the job he did with Boston College in 2024. That's partly because of a 3-game midseason losing streak. That'll do it. Manny Diaz at Duke, A-. 9-4 for the Dukers. Bronco Mendenhall at New Mexico. They were 5-7, but he gets a grade of A-. That's pretty something. Let's see. Spencer Danielson at Boise State. He gets a grade of A. Brand Brown at Syracuse A. And then who else would lead first-year head coach's grades than the man who did the seemingly impossible and made the Indiana Hoosiers nationally relevant again? Curt Cignetti has redefined what it means to immediately impact a program. After all, he's been doing it at every spot along his coaching journey, yet this time the spotlight of national attention shone more brightly on his accomplishments than ever before. Cignetti would have you Google his accomplishments, but let's spell some out for you. No other first-year head coach led his team to a bigger winning swing than the 8-game difference from 2023 to 2024. Indiana's Big Ten record contained 7 more wins this year compared to last. They only play 9 games, people. His team scored 19 more points per game than the one left behind and allowed 14 less. That's a big swing.
Yeah, huge.
I mean, that's a 34-point swing, people. Whoo, major. And you saw the results. From wins to basic and advanced statistics to recruiting to transfer portal prowess, everything about Indiana football under Cignetti was simply better than it had been in years. Their run to the college football playoff was electric, despite the national scrutiny and protestations that the Hoosiers didn't belong. Not only did they earn the right to the national attention, they're well set up to remain there. And that they are. That is the key. That is the important key. No resting on the laurels, baby. They're going out. I talked earlier about the lineman Indiana's landed.
Yeah,
First of all, the commitment from the Notre Dame guy, that is gigantic. This guy started at center for the national champion runner-up almost every game.
Yeah. And he's big. He's 6'5", 310, more resemblance of what you need in the Big Ten. The Spindler kid that they had a chance at, he ultimately went, I believe, to Nebraska. He was a big OT. But I think it's a huge get for Indiana losing Caddick to graduation. And you're bringing in a guy, again, to uphold the standard of what is meant and expectations in terms of winning football every day. And I think that's a huge get for Indiana's offense and for Coach Bobstead, because he can mold and groom around it. And I think he'll be able to do that with having that piece of the fixture there in order to develop the guys that are going to be the depth guys next year, but also the ones that will probably step into a national or to a starting position a year from now. So definitely a good get. Sounds like he's a very vocal young man. Some of the pregame speeches that you've caught on YouTube or other places about, what he has to say. I think he's one of those guys that can be a leader in that O-line room, and they need that. They need a guy that's in the O-line room that can lead, because they lost their big leader to graduation.
Absolutely. And next season is going to be, I said already before they were able to pull in, and the commitment, they got a nice O-line commitment from Wisconsin. Yeah. Bob Bostad, man, that's earning your keep right there. And to get this kid from that's the dude Coogan from Notre Dame. I don't know how they got him out of there, because unless this is an NIL thing, I'm not sure, or if there's, I know there's some. That's a great get.
I wouldn't say naysayers, but I would say some question marks as why would this kid from Notre Dame playing the national championship game choose to go to Indiana?
It could simply be one thing. It could be NIL.
Could be that. It could be the fact.
You know what? It could also be that he doesn't think that Notre Dame will be as good as next year. Who knows?
Well, the other thing is maybe he has an impression of what Indiana was in that game against them up in South Bend, So it's a lot of factors. But again, I think it's one factor that a kid comes on Indiana's campus with a better impression of Indiana now based upon what they did and earned a lot of respect in the minds of kids across the country as it pertains to Indiana. And then we've always said, once you can get them on campus and in Bloomington, it's a relatively easy sell from that point forward. And we've seen it for the last 2 years, especially when you have 14 of their incoming freshman class already on campus. So again, we've talked about the step that they're going to have to make is always the toughest one, but I think they've got the reinforcements that are coming in to help them do that.
Absolutely. And you've got Bryant Haynes signed, sealed, and delivered. And that is big because Ohio State has now lost both of their coordinators from their national championship run, which is not a huge surprise. We see that.
Yeah.
And Chip Kelly was not going to be there forever. He's a big name coach, a big time coach, former head coach, obviously for UCLA and others, including Oregon. He's been in the NFL before, and he's going back there reportedly to take the same job with the Oakland, or I'm sorry, is it the Oakland Raiders? It's the Las Vegas Raiders.
Las
right?
Vegas Raiders.
God dang it. I'll never get used to that.
Yeah.
So, the Raiders, the Las Vegas.
Yeah. Chip, I think, was a 1-year deal. I think,
Jim Knowles surprised me.
Well,
not that he left, but that he left to go to Penn State.
Yeah. I think Chip was there because they had told him this was going to be the team potentially that could win it because of the talent they had. And I think Chip agreed, and they were fortunate enough to get it done. And, I think Knowles' defense there at Ohio State has been much improved. But I don't know if there was some conflict there between Day and Knowles a little bit. And I, for him to abruptly just to, go from Ohio State to Penn State, that was such a lateral move in my mind. And even with Coach Allen leaving to go to Clemson, I look at that as a lateral move, other than money. So I don't know if, Knowles is going to get more money at Penn State or what the deal was, but, I think the part of it is that I think there was a little bit of a friction there between him and Day. And I think it started there at that Oregon game that they got beat out on the, out at Oregon. And I don't think you get to losing some tough ball games. It can be, it can wear on.
I'm sure Ryan Day was hard last year because he had a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah.
And once they lost to Michigan, oh my gosh, you want to talk about being twisted in knots. It was probably a very, very rough time for him.
Yeah, it was a tough end of the year until they could get themselves back into the playoffs. And made the run that they did. Just thinking about the old system of approach, they probably wouldn't have made it in the 4-team, playoff that they had a year ago, because they wouldn't, having lost 2 ball games and losing the big one to Michigan, they would have been left out of the national championship opportunity. So with all that being said, having something like this now, all of a sudden he went from a 0 to a hero in a matter of 4 weeks. So it'd been interesting if the pressure there at Ohio State, had it been under the old national championship ways of doing it, would he have survived? Just because of losing to Michigan for the 4th straight year, cost them a chance for a national championship. And they're probably there thinking right now, thank God we've got this new way of doing it because it gave them extra life.
the comment from Andy Moore on the hotline on the YouTube channel, and you can do so too. Just go to our YouTube channel. And when you do that, subscribe and hit the notifications toggle, please. Indiana Sports Beat Radio. But John says the thing that gets me is why are they not developing players? I don't know if you're talking about basketball. I don't know if you're talking about Indiana. All I ask is when you guys put up a comment, you have to be specific. I know that you're responding to something that may have been just said, but there are tons of comments that come in and we don't know what you're referring to without this specific information. So please drop that in. Glad to, always happy to pull the comments up and talk about this.
But I do think Kurt Signetti is very conscious of building the foundation with the 4-year players.
Well, signing and getting this offensive lineman is a huge deal. Is one of those things.
Keep on that. He was asking. There it is. He was asking about basketball.
Well, I thought that may be the case, but by now you have the answer to that. This is 4 years in, guys. You know the answers to all this. It's again, I hate to jump around, but I will address this real quick.
Yeah.
Basketball is what it is. You know what you have. What nobody's getting developed. Nobody's going to get developed. It's going to be, what you have. Don't stop beating your head against the wall and expecting it to be different. That's the definition of insanity. It's not. Just, you got to ride the season out. If they can win some games, great. Had their opportunities here of late, could not close it out. To me, that goes directly to coaching. They weren't ready. They don't have the IQ to do it. They just aren't prepared for those situations. Because if you prepare for those situations in practice, then you're ready for those situations. They're not. But don't expect it to change. It's been 3 3/4 years. You've got more than a quarter of the season left, but a third of the season left, whatever the case is. Why would you expect change in the last 20% of what you've had? It's not going to change. That's it. That's why it's not happening. Players are not being developed. A couple of reasons. First and foremost, because the offense or lack thereof that is trying to be ran, who's that going to develop? It's not really going to develop anybody. It will allow a big man to be given the opportunity to show his wares, but that's about it. These guys seem to kind of be on their own, in my opinion, as far as developing. But that's just my opinion. But that's just my opinion on that answer as well. So, hey, we've got to take a break from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Coach Shannon Griffith with us. We're talking some football as Indiana getting it done. Kurt Signetti grades out as the highest football coach in the country by College Football Network. So it's not really an award, but it's definitely an honor to have that grade with those names behind you. We're back with more to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios right after this. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive.
If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-701-0838. 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore help you find the home you want today. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33 Pizza. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue. And you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Monday. So happy to have you along with us, no matter where, how you're listening. Coach Shannon Griffith with us on the program right now, talking some Indiana football. And, the funny thing is they're moving. Everything is happening. You're adding these pieces. There's a lot going on in the background. What are these coaches doing right now, Shannon?
Well, the biggest thing Indiana's coaches are doing are trying to wrap up some of their winter recruiting. And we've seen that with a couple big junior days this past Saturday and the previous Saturday, where they've had 26 kids in, as well as 27 kids in. So they're fastly moving on that next class. And in today's game, you're always more or less a year ahead. And so they'll have their idea of who they like to get here coming out of these 2 big junior weekends. They'll try to get, a pretty good group put together before they start expanding their wings a little bit to see what else may be available. But they're getting ready to come back after the second signing day, or the one that used to be the true signing day, wraps up everything, and they'll be focusing their efforts on getting ready for spring ball, doing a heavy self-scouting, things they want to work on, things they want to add. Those conversations are being had between February and March, or till up to spring ball starts. So they have a plan going into spring. The kids themselves are already in their true winter workouts, in terms of in the weight room, working on speed and agility, things of that nature. There may be a time where the coaches are with them in the morning, where you have your, morning workouts, where it's the mat drills and things like that. But a lot of it right now is a focus on getting prepared for spring ball.
Where did he go? John J says that the kid the 2026 kid that received the offer. Where did that thing go? I lost it. I responded to it. But anyway, he responded to a tweet that said he thanked the University of Indiana, which drives me insane as a graduate. But it also drives me insane as just a human, because there's no doubt these offers come with a letter, right, Coach? They send them the official.
Yeah, they get an official letter. This 2026 class will get an official letter of offerance. Now, that was under the old system. They would get it about the first week of August.
Well, my point being is, in the letter, it clearly states that it is from Indiana University.
Yeah, right. It'll lay that out.
The school is known as IU. How an athlete doesn't know that, especially an athlete that is talking to a particular school, I don't understand that. It drives me absolutely nuts. The University of Indiana thing. It's like, where have you ever heard the University of Indiana? Where is it? UI? No, it's IU. Hence Indiana University. But that's something small. But what are you gonna do?
Grind your gears a little bit. But yeah, every offer that's extended right now is, in the world of football, is a quote unquote non-binding offer, meaning that until you get that official letter from said university, it's not official till then. Now, a lot of semantics go on with all this, but so take the kid that was there this weekend and from Wisconsin. I think his last name was Simpson, offensive lineman.
The kid that accepted the offer?
Yeah, he accepted Indiana's offer and all of this.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, right after he got the offer.
Yeah, and while Indiana may say, "Hey, we're going to honor your commitment and hold a spot for you now," because I'm sure it's about spots as opposed to scholarships, because the scholarship limit, I think, has gone out the window. But anyway, the kid isn't really bound to IU until he gets an official offer. So you'll see a lot of these guys that are supposedly locked up. Well, Indiana will keep recruiting this kid, because until that day comes where they finally sign their name on the dotted line, these kids can do whatever they want. They can jump.
Can't they anyway? I mean, pretty much. Does it?
Yeah, they can.
Matter anymore?
See, that's the thing that I've got to try to find out. We're in this new world of, number one, 105 roster. They've eliminated scholarships in terms of, how many you can give out per year and things of that nature. It's all about the 105. And then how are they going to structure it so a kid understands what he's getting from the institution? Because it's well beyond what room and board is now, because you've got this collective bargaining. And I think we discussed this last week when I kind of broke it down. I think it's like $100K per kid if you just divided it equally across all four classes, and 105 players. But I don't know if that means some are going to make more, some are going to make less. I don't know how that's all going to fall into the equation because of what is all coming and how that's all going to be expanded upon, and how what is a kid going to sign? Is it going to be a memorandum of understanding, that has these laid out items that they have to do each and every year to remain with the program, or, all those things that, we don't know yet because of all the things that are going on as it pertains to this lawsuit and everything else that's between that and next season starting. So it's going to be an interesting off season, but I've got to find out, if, what is it going to look like? I mean, are they going to spell out to a kid, you're going to make X from the university, we're going to pay you X amount of dollars, and that's what you're going to make per year, or how that's going to look, that's what I want to figure out, and how that's all.
I don't think they know yet, because nothing has been, because it still hasn't been completely approved yet. But
they're all operating as if it is. I mean, they're operating.
You kind of have to, I think, because they know it has to. It has to get to that. So at least, and so they're going to have to operate from that standpoint. And I think that they know that. It's just getting there.
Right.
It's getting all the little stuff worked out. It's getting the Title IX stuff worked out. I mean, this may come across not the way I mean it, but it doesn't matter about women. It could be men too. We could talk about men's cross country. All right. Well, that brings nothing. That just costs any university money. Men's whatever. There are plenty of teams that are just cost money.
Mm-hmm.
Most And that's the same with the women's teams. I don't expect a men's cross country runner to get more than a women's cross country runner because neither of those do jack. So that should be equal.
Yeah.
But men's basketball, women's basketball, no, it's not equal because it's who brings in the money. And as much as you think that Indiana women's basketball is successful, they still lose money. So they do not make money.
Yeah.
It's a losing proposition. So, and that's why it cannot be equal across the board. It should not be equal across the board. It has nothing to do with male, female. It's about who makes the money. And let me tell you, football makes the money, and in men's basketball adds right to it. Other than that, you take that away, you got squat. That's just the facts of the matter.
That's why the Big Ten TV contracts were so important to the overall support of these institutional athletic departments from A to Z. So they're going to even enter to a fray, and I'm still fearful that some of these institutions are going to end up cutting opportunities to compete because they won't be able to financially support it, and it's going to be because of the payouts and things of that nature. Because a lot of these Big Ten teams, I mean, most of them are operating with that money to help support some of these, So it's going to be an interesting dynamic here as we go through the offseason and hopefully
Russell mentions that Nebraska could be a dangerous team next year in football. That reminds me, I saw that they're going to cancel their Nebraska, canceling their spring game. Let me repeat that. Nebraska is canceling their spring game, but not because of injuries, not because of sickness, not because of anything. You know why? Because last year after their spring game, they had, I don't remember how many, but a number of players hit the portal. And so Matt Rule says, I ain't doing that again. And I don't know if it was because they performed well or didn't get the playing time they wanted or what have you. I'm not sure. So that's going to be very interesting. But you're talking about one of the major football programs in the country who it probably fills up for a spring football game.
They sell out their spring game.
I mean, there's one of those, man, no spring football in Nebraska. That's got to go over like a wet blanket.
Plus it was televised. So that all, just like you said, opened it up for teams to pillage, because what was happening is, the same old stuff. Hey, I can get you X at this school if you jump in the portal. And he said, I'm not doing that again because it's detrimental to us heading into the off season. We're losing X, Y, X the number of players because of what you just said, whether they played well or they didn't like their status on the team and they just decided to bolt. But it may be a little bit of an overreaction, but I understand where he's coming from.
Robert thinks some sports will go by the wayside. I'm not sure about that because this money is not, I don't know. I really don't.
I hope it doesn't, but.
And I do too. But are there some sports that you're like, okay, what's the point of that? There's a lot of sports that only cost money.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the point of, especially smaller sports that are, that do cost money? You have to ask yourself, why would you, how does that, unless it really brings something in a different manner, why continue it?
Yeah. Well, that's
if you were a business and you had an arm of your business that didn't really benefit you to have, and it just cost you money, would you keep it? Most businesses would not.
Yes. And that's what I'm afraid of, that you're going to find with some of these institutions that after a year or two of going through this, they may have to start cutting sports just for the standpoint of they can't leak money out the back end supporting cross country or tennis, golf.
Now, there are some differences. Women's basketball, Brian thinks that they win or make money or break even, and I'm trying to tell you they don't. But that's the sport that would not be in danger of going away because it is still a high-profile sport. That's the benefit. It has a profile. It brings in eyes.
Was saved by the Title IX argument with men's basketball.
Well, yeah, but even with that, there's a natural reason to keep it. I mean, it's something that is interesting. It gets people out to the campus, and even though if it loses money, I'm not saying it loses tons of money, but it is a losing situation. But it brings other things to the table. So that's different than a program that you don't think about, lacrosse,
right,
or something like that. Does anybody really care other than the people that are playing lacrosse? So I don't know. We'll see. Well, we have to see, because I don't know how it's going to work out. Nobody does, because it has to be approved. I mean, there are complaints about so many different things in it. And because the plan is for 75% of it to go to probably men's football and basketball, at least. And I get it, because they're bringing in probably 90% of the money or 100% of the money. I mean, who else is bringing in money?
Yeah, and I guess
maybe women's basketball is still bringing it in, just because they lose money. They're still bringing money in on Big Ten Network or something.
Yeah, they all still, but that's part of that reasoning why they're paying all this money back, because of the opportunities that they squandered supposedly to these TV contracts, and what teams are getting from like, for instance, Ohio State going and winning the big national championship helps the Big Ten out, because Ohio State has to share that money with the Big Ten.
David says the purpose of the university is to provide education and opportunities. They do not have to make money. Well, I disagree. When it comes to certain sports, they're getting the education and opportunity. But if they're in a sport that is a losing proposition, why does that particular sport have to be provided? What benefit does it bring? That doesn't answer that question, Dave. Yeah. So, and it's not like I want to see sports go away. I get it. They're just great. They're good for the people, but, Gabby Hulls, I don't even know who that is a good hockey player, apparently, according to Russell. So College Factual website says IU women's basketball breaks even. You know what? College Factual website, I don't even know what that is. I've never heard of it, but I can tell you that is not what I have been told from something closer to Indiana. And regardless, it does not make money. There's no way that it makes money. Because the cost, you have to cover the cost of the scholarships, of everything, all of that, the travel, and it's neither here nor there. It's not part of the argument. It's just because I said that's a sport that has other things, other positives, other intrinsic value that it brings. Dusty says Saturday's Auburn and Ole Miss game was reported the third largest crowd in Ole Miss history. They seat 9,500. That's a far cry from 17,000 at Simon Scott Assembly Hall, which I'm not sure what that matters. Cameron Indoor host only has 9,000 something. So, Indiana's, 17,000 seat arena is not common. There are others, Louisville, Kentucky, North Carolina, Syracuse. But yeah, Indiana's one of their bigger ones. I think they're the biggest in the Big Ten Conference. I don't know I can't remember what Michigan State holds, though. That would be the only one. But so there's that. Man, what's up next for you?
Just working on some stuff for the show, doing some things, we're looking at still the recruiting aspect of stuff, but still talking about, what has gone into this season and what it looks like for next year. But stay tuned and we'll have something up here probably next week.
Looking forward to it. And we'll see you back on Thursday for sure as well. And appreciate you.
You too, buddy. See ya.
Have a good one. Absolutely. That was Coach Shannon Griffith joining us here on the program today. Big thanks to everyone. Most importantly, thanks to each and every one of you. Without you, we don't have a reason for be here, and we're grateful for the opportunity. But we're back tomorrow, and we will preview Indiana taking on Wisconsin as they head north and try to find a win. Wouldn't shock me if they get it, if they can harness that effort that they gave in West Lafayette on Saturday. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.